Well, this problem is not unlike the problem that HL&P faces.
Exactly.
In delivering electrical service.
Exactly.
They have to build their power plants to handle the peak load, and they bill based on the capacity for that peak load.
But it's a peak load experienced.
Right.
Yeah, right.
We're not guaranteed that if everybody in Houston puts a copper bus bar across their
That's right.
fuse box,
That's
that they
right.
can
It's
support
not
that.
maximum
Right.
theoretical.
So it's a maximum experienced load during a certain period.
Right.
And what they are promising to do is not so much give you money back, but to invest in making this shared plant satisfied.
And it's regulated, right?
Right.
Something that they're not.
And hope never to be.
Yeah. But your point is that if this network starts getting shoved down, we would have to commit to put in a second FDEI ring.
And you should be glad to do that.
Well, I would think that we could. The only time we wouldn't is if we're not, is if for some reason we're not able to get it, if one user was choking the network down and we weren't recovering on cost for that.
Right.
So we got to figure out some way to make sure that one user doesn't get in there, or two or three choke the thing, and we're not getting our money from them.
Some of that's going to be rate limited just by the hardware that makes it the network. I mean, if today's FDDI interfaces only run 25 megabits per second flat out, that's all you're going to do.
Unfortunately, it will probably improve.
It will improve.
Even if Exxon were to come to us and say, I need to be guaranteed 80 meg, so then we have the private FDDI network for them. I mean, if they could not afford to buy it from us, I mean, they'd have to go buy the right of way or fiber or whatever, plus all the FDDI routers themselves anyways. I mean, I would think we should be able to recover the cost.
Well, that's right. In fact, I can imagine the following. I can imagine a schedule of prices that you might publish that would have a column labeled FDDI and dollars, but within the FDDI interface, if we promise you 20 megabits per second, then we charge you, 50 yen. Okay. If you want us to promise you 40 megabits per second, then we have to charge you 70 yen. Okay, and so forth. So that maybe not all of your FDDI users make that same demand. And if somebody's paying you 70 yen, and if the congestional networks get this 40 megabits down, then maybe you can afford to beef up.
But the problem is in that sort of environment, then everybody says, I want 1 megabit per second, and uses 40, and you have a problem.
Well, can we limit that?
Because you have a problem with
with
limiting
the
it.
routers you're putting on for one thing, right? I mean, if you've got an Ethernet interface in that router, you're not going to go 40 megabits.
No, but I want an FDDI interface, because that's what my network is.
That's what Stan and I were just kind of talking.
Yeah.
If someone
so
says
there's
they,
nothing in the routers to say throttle.
Right.
Yeah.
if somebody says they
well,
have to have
Except packets at
FDDI,
only the rate of 10 per second.
maybe.
Well, that comes out on the billing end. I mean, you're going to throttle it.
But we don't
on
want
1 month
to. We don't want to
delay,
screw up a customer that wanted Ethernet and someone talking about FDDI. But what we were kind of talking about is if somebody sincerely is demanding to have to be guaranteed 80 meg, maybe we should look at for the shared FDDI backbone, limit it to Ethernet token ring connections. Because if somebody really wants to buy an FDDI off a shared FDDI backbone,
Well,
just
I don't want to
thinking
do that
about
because
that,
No, I think
we don't have enough fibers to go doing tons of private networks,
Yeah,
number one.
That's right.
So we might be able to do one big end user or two that really has, really is.
Well, it's worse than that, though.
Pardon?
You've only got 3 FDDIs out there the way we ended up thinking around the big loop. And that part of it, there's 3 of them. You're taking 4 fibers for every FDDI
Right.
to make the big loop.
To make the big ring?
The 80-mile loop.
There's also the point that
And we only have 12.
the utility
Really,
may be, the utility may be such that
You do have some other business.
you don't want to do private network.
Well, we may decide that, or it obviously depends on the revenue stream associated with that.
Well, yes, I suppose. Someone said they wanted to give you $3 million a month. I'm sure that
Well, no,
could
I mean,
motivate
you know,
you.
I mean, if
you
if
never
some,
tell a customer no. You just just give them a quote.
Yeah.
If somebody steps up to the plate and has a big enough revenue stream, we'll figure out a way to either get more fibers or do something.
No, dig more trenches.
Yeah. But at some point, someone may demand may jump them off the shared backbone. I think
And that's a success.
That's a fact. Yeah, I call that a success.
If you had, one of the advantages, it's really a misfeature of FTDI that it has to be a whole order of magnitude more than Ethernet. Okay? It's a misfeature in the sense that if you're sharing it with somebody else, I mean, the person that's asking for the bandwidth and is willing to pay for it, he'd really love to be able to turn his bandwidth knob by increases of 10% over what he had before, relatively smoothly. And in the LAN world, or in the T1, the 56 kilobit T1, T3 world, situation where the smallest notch you can turn the knob is factors of 25, and the corresponding telephone bill knob is factor 10, you're dead. Okay? How's the person going to make the transition if the only way you make the transition is huge cut? Now, if they had a way, if they had a way in their routers, and I don't know if this exists, but if they had a way in their routers of rate limiting interface, let's say it's a 20 megabit FDDI, electrically, by every interoperability standard, it's real live honest with FDDI. It's just that you'll never get an average of more than 20 megabits per second coming out of that interface over a period of 1 second. Or going into it. Okay. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. If you had the ability to rate limit it in that way, so that it was in the best of all worlds software configurable what the limit was, then even though the hardware equipment at the interface is the same for your Exxon and for your tiny consulting shop, they'd be given the opportunity to contribute voluntarily, if it were different amounts of money into this shared structure, because they'd be getting more for it. Yeah. The Exxon guy